I don't want to achieve immortality through my work. I want to achieve it by not dying. That's the famous quote from director Woody Allen. From ancient Indian text to biblical stories, humans across the time have always been fascinated by a quest to live longer, a quest for immortality. Immortality was an important aspect of the ancient Egyptian belief. They regarded death as just a temporary interruption, while Greeks attributed immortality to the god beings. Even in today's time, humanity's quest for immortality continues. Yesterday's science fiction has now become today's reality. Television, airplanes, even mobile phones, all were once considered impossible, but now they all have become part of our life. Today, with our growing understanding of human body, can science finally answer this age-old question? Can humans live forever? If we look at about 100 years from now, average human lifespan was about 31. Now the world average has increased to somewhere between 70 and 80 years. Monaco, the second smallest country in the world, has the highest life expectancy of about 90. In just 100 years, human lifespan has more than doubled. So a logical question will be, can average human life double again in the next 100 years and reach 160 years or beyond? Some scientists think it will not be possible. They believe there is an upper age limit of about 125 years beyond which humans cannot survive naturally. According to the evolutionary argument, our genetic code of existence, or our DNA, chooses reproduction as its best possible option of survival and is not pursuing to make us live longer. Also, it is argued that the human brain has a limited capacity, just like a computer, and will not be able to survive or at least be active even if the human body becomes capable of living for centuries. But few have completely different opinion, like Cambridge University's Aubrey Gray, who claims that the first person to live for 1000 years or beyond is alive today. Most of the people who are now 40 years or younger can expect to live for centuries. The search for immortality is not a niche anymore. Technology billionaires are investing millions in the research to make us live much longer. Therefore, Google's chief futurist thinks that humans could start living forever by as early as 2029. Sounds interesting, but is it practical? There are about 7 approaches which individually or in combination can aid humanity to live much longer. Let's look at each of them. We must first understand the enemy, aging. Aging in theory is not deadly, but the alteration of cells during our younger age leads to greater chances of damage and disease as we grow older. Currently, there are about 450,000 people over the age of 100 years. Some of them are still very active. You might have seen their YouTube videos running marathon, dancing, or even fishing. What makes them so healthy and active at such a late stage in life and do things which even some young people are not able to do? Scientists believe they have found the answer. It's due to a gene called FOXO. The FOXO gene works like a manager of our body. It helps in repairing of tissues and keeps the body active. While everybody has FOXO gene, but if you have 2 copies of a rare combination of FOXO, you are having a DNA jackpot. You have triple the chances of crossing 100 years of age, and that too in a healthy state. So what if we can artificially add these rare genes to everyone? That brings us to gene therapy, the manipulation of genes inside cells. Researchers were able to increase the life of a yeast by massive 60% through gene therapy. And probably in the near future, these gene therapies can slowly inch our life towards immortality. Human aging chronology starts with childhood. and then we become part of the youth, and later reach the final frontier of old age. But what if this chronology can be reversed? What if humans can reverse from old age back to their youth? Meet Hydra, the tiny freshwater organism similar to a jellyfish. It is a remarkable creature. It does not show any signs of aging and appears to be immortal. When its old cells age and die, new ones are generated, reversing from old age back to youth. US researchers at the Salk Institute in California showed it was possible to reverse the age of a mice, allowing the animal to not only look younger but also live for 30% longer.
Harvard's researchers believe that they can reverse DNA aging.
While the Harvard Medical School research team found that giving an older mice a chemical called NAD for just 1 week made the 2-year-old mice tissue resemble a 6-month-old mice. In human years, that would be similar to cells of a 60-year-old becoming more like those belonging to a 20-year-old. Human trials are about to start, and even NASA is interested in the project. So probably in the near future, we could grab a pill and become younger. In 2011, world's oldest running car was sold for $4.6 million at an auction. The car was manufactured in 1884, 133 years ago, and is still running in good condition. What makes these old classic cars active and running on road? It is their maintenance, repairs, and most importantly, replacement of old worn-out parts with new ones. Let's consider human body as a car. A good way for us to survive longer would be regular exercise, eating right, avoiding junk food, while some even consider dancing as an important activity to stay fit and live longer. In comparison with the car, these are some of the activities we can do as part of regular maintenance of our body. But in the long run, if we want to survive for centuries, we will also require the replacement parts, just like a car. That's where transplant comes in. Transplants have become a medical norm for many decades. The first successful kidney transplant was carried out back in 1954. However, with transplants, there is a very high possibility of body rejecting the newer body parts. And there is also a shortage of body parts as it is difficult to find a donor. But scientists believe rejection of body parts and finding a donor can soon become a thing of the past. Scientists have successfully created artificially lab-grown body parts like liver and windpipe. In 2016, a full-sized beating human heart was created from stem cells. There is also a possibility of cloning your own self for body parts or having a brain transplant to a healthy body. But these procedures are still considered a taboo subject and are outlawed in various countries. But in the near future, it is very likely that most of the human body parts will be artificially created in a lab from the person's own tissue and can be changed as the need arises. Imagine a machine. The first thing I imagine is a large oversized machine. But imagine a machine you cannot see. Here comes nanobot. Microscopic machines or tiny robots. Nanobots are so tiny that 50,000 of them would fit across the diameter of a single human hair and thus can interact on the same level as bacteria and viruses. These tiny robots would soon be able to conduct surgery and deliver drugs deep inside the human body. In 2015, researchers at the University of California used nanobots to deliver medical load inside a live mouse without any detrimental effects to the animal. Researchers have also used nanobots to drill into cancer cells. killing them in just 60 seconds. Probably soon nanobots will become the preferred method of cancer treatment, thus improving the cancer survival rate by many folds. Possibilities can be endless. We can replace the nuclei of our cells with nanocomputers that would probably do a faster, more efficient job than what the nature has given us. We can also inject information and knowledge directly to our brain through these nanobots. The technology is still growing and has the potential to change the medical field drastically, thereby playing an important role in increasing human lifespan. Preservation of human body after death was seen during the Egyptian civilization. In 1967, Dr. James Bedford became the first person to be cryopreserved, the low temperature preservation of a legally dead person, with the hope that medical advances will someday allow these people to be revived back to life. Since then, over 250 people have gone through this procedure. Frankly speaking, cryonics sounded to me as part of weird science, which is better to be avoided. But it is possible to cryopreserve and revive animals. The wood frogs of Alaska freezes into a block of ice during winter. Their heart stops beating. There is no blood flow. But 7 months later, as the spring arrives, they come out of the frozen stage and hop around. Also earlier this year, scientists managed to freeze the brain of a rabbit and recovered it back to a healthy state. So possibly in some far off future, people can literally return from the dead. Mind uploading is the process by which the mind, a collection of memories, personality, is transferred from biological brain to an artificial medium. The first step for mind uploading is to create a computer or digital system that can mimic a human brain. First, let's understand how computers have evolved. Let's turn back time to 1969, Apollo 11 mission.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
This statement was made immortal when for the first time NASA placed 2 astronauts on the moon. The mission was aided by the 70-pound Apollo guidance computer, which provided guidance, navigation, and control of the spacecraft. The Apollo guidance computer's internal memory was only 64 KB. Now, 48 years later, smartphones like OnePlus come with a 6 GB RAM. To simplify what it means, the cell phone in your pocket has roughly 93,000 times more memory than the computer which made the entire human mission to moon possible. As the computers are evolving, can modern day computers mimic the functioning of a human brain, one of the most complex structure in the universe? First, let's talk about the memory. Our brain can store massive information. It is very difficult to ascertain how much information can the brain store, but as per some estimates, human brain is said to be storing close to 2500 terabytes worth of information. Even though that amount of information is massive and would have been considered impossible to replicate just a few decades ago, but now that much of information is equal to about 100 days of new videos uploaded on YouTube. Therefore, right now we have the hardware storage capacity available to replicate a human brain. But the human brain is still the fastest processing device. In 2013, Japanese researchers used Fujitsu-K, a supercomputer, to try and match the processing power of a human brain. The supercomputer had 83,000 processors, but the team was only able to mimic just 1% of 1 second's worth of human brain activity, and even that took 40 minutes. The fastest supercomputers created so far are still 20 to 30 times slower than your brain's processing speed. The $1.3 billion Human Brain Project aims to create a system that matches human brain's processing power and speed, and thereby create an artificial brain. If we are successful at storing and replicating human personality and thoughts digitally, that will make humans digitally immortal. One would probably have a digital home a digital girlfriend, a digital world profession. Wait, isn't that Second Life or Sims? Still, is human consciousness just the brain, or is life something more deeper, which even the science fails to understand? Some people also call that deep part within as human soul. Instead of having a human body with difficult to manufacture body parts that require a lot of maintenance, is it possible to exceed those limitations through machines? That's where transhumanism comes in, an approach where science and technology are used to exceed humans' current physical and mental limitations. We have seen transhumanism in fiction. Peter Parker's DNA is modified by a spider's DNA, allowing him superhuman strength and agility, while Iron Man's artificial heart can be a good example of technological transhumanism. But is transhumanism even possible? In today's time, over 1 million people are using mechanical pacemakers to regulate their heartbeat. Also in a study, a new brain implant tested on rats restored lost memories at the flick of a switch. So possibly in the future, just as we manufacture cars that can transport us faster than our legs, we will also have replacements for our body parts that not only outperform our limited natural organs, but even help us exceed human lifespan. Our quest for immortality continues. Which of these possibilities will become a reality, only the time will tell. But to think about it, with our wars, crimes, hatred shown towards each other, out of all the species on earth, does humanity even deserve to be immortal? And how will it feel to live for eternity and become immortal? Will it be like the movie Groundhog Day, feeling like everything is happening again and again? Or will it make newer possibilities, newer wonders come to life? Probably humans will be able to travel to newer galaxies, create unthinkable inventions, and most importantly, never would have to go through the pain of seeing their loved ones depart. If not in our lifetime, then probably in the lifetime of future generations, humanity will live much longer and will someday come closer to perceived immortality. Let's just hope when such a day arrives, it brings out the best in humanity.